Have you ever been told you're wise beyond your years, or felt like you're secretly an 80-year-old trapped in a younger person's body? Maybe while everyone else is out chasing the latest trends or hunting down the loudest Friday night party, you're perfectly content curled up with a quiet cup of tea, a good book, and your own thoughts. It's a common feeling, and we usually wrap it up in a neat little romantic phrase, being an old soul. But what does that actually mean? Are you really carrying the wisdom of past lives, or is there something profoundly fascinating happening in your brain right now? Let me show you what the psychology behind this actually looks like, because the reality is even more interesting than the myth. We tend to assume that old souls are simply born with a mystical, quiet aura, but psychology paints a picture that is deeply rooted in how we process reality. Often, what we label as an old soul is actually a beautiful collision of high-trait openness, profound emotional intelligence, and sometimes a highly sensitive nervous system. If you resonate with being an old soul, your brain is likely wired to process the world with an unusual, almost heavy depth. You don't just experience things as they happen, you metabolize them. Think about a time you walked into a busy, crowded room. While others might simply see a group of people chatting and hear the background music, your brain is probably working overtime, picking up on the subtle shifts in energy, the unspoken tension between two friends in the corner, and the sheer, overwhelming emotional weight of the space. This isn't magic. It's a heightened cognitive sensitivity to your environment. Developmental psychology sometimes links this intense inner world to our earliest experiences. Children who had to grow up just a little bit faster, perhaps to navigate complex family dynamics, or simply because they were naturally highly attuned to the moods of their caregivers, often develop a piercing sense of observation. You might have learned early on that stepping back and quietly watching the world was much more informative than recklessly diving into the center of it. Over time, this quiet, protective observation transforms into deep empathy. You understand people's pain, joy, and complex motivations, not necessarily because you've lived 1,000 lifetimes, but because you are intensely and constantly tuned into the human experience happening right in front of you. But let's be honest, this depth comes with a heavy emotional tax. Being an old soul can sometimes feel incredibly lonely, like you are speaking a dialect that everyone around you has somehow forgotten. You might struggle painfully with small talk, finding it genuinely exhausting to discuss the weather or weekend plans when your brain is starving to explore existential fears, the meaning of art, or the intricate web of human connection. This isn't you being arrogant, difficult, or aloof. It's just your cognitive architecture craving real substance. You are quite literally built to navigate deep waters, which is exactly why wading in the shallow end feels so profoundly draining. Yet this exact challenge is your absolute greatest superpower. In a modern world that is endlessly obsessed with speed, superficiality, and chasing the next quick dopamine hit, your natural inclination to pause and reflect is an incredibly rare anchor. You possess the psychological resilience to sit comfortably with discomfort, to hold space for the people you love without rushing to fix them, and to see the long game when everyone else is caught up in the immediate panic. Your quietness isn't a lack of participation in life. It is a richer, more deliberate way of living it. So the next time you feel out of place for wanting a deeper connection, remember that your mind is doing exactly what it was beautifully built to do. You aren't falling behind. You're just looking at the whole landscape instead of running on the treadmill. If this resonated with your own inner old soul, I'd love to hear how this shows up in your daily life down in the comments. And don't forget to subscribe if you want to keep exploring the quiet complexities of the human mind together.